Well, hello there, and welcome to the Eagle's Nest. And the Eagle's Nest, if you don't know, is a summary retelling of the great book written by Charlie Suprasinski titled Soaring with the Eagles, the Copper Peak Story, the story of ski jumping in the western upper peninsula of Michigan with references to other winter activities. Well, we're back into 1920. And this is part 2 of the book, and what's happened in part 1, if you recall, was all the immigrants came here to the Ironwood area, Gogebic Range, with hopes of starting a new life and having a chance at prosperity, I think. So from 1885 to, the early 1900s, very early, they all had a chance at the brass ring, you could say. At any rate, this area started to thrive, and there was quite a bit of employment going on, working in the mines and woods, lumber industry, and lots of people were letting their relatives in the old country know, come on over here, we're going to have a good chance for our family to grow. You might recall that in 1914, the big ski jumping hill in Ironwood was blown down by a massive windstorm. 1914, nothing was left but a bunch of splintered lumber. So they knew right away, I think, that they wanted to rebuild it, but they wanted to find a way that, first that they could pay for it, and also that would be stronger so that the same thing wouldn't happen again. And so the loss of Curry Hill, that scaffold in 1914, left Ironwood without a sufficiently big enough hill to attract regional competitors. That was the name of the game in those days. Build a bigger hill and they will come to compete. The uncertainties created by this country's involvement in World War I didn't help either, and that caused an 8-year hiatus from competitive ski jumping. The post-World War I economic boom of the early 1920s increased interest in recreational activities and made finding resources to support those efforts much easier. In 1922, with some 24 mines on the Gogebic Range, just imagine that in operation, Gogebic County had the highest taxable valuation of any county in the Upper Peninsula. Ironwood's population hit its peak at about 16,000 residents, almost 3 times greater than at present. In spite of the lack of a large hill, ski jumping was far from being dead in the area. There were a dozen or more small hills in which interested young skiers could develop their skills. The caves in Ironwood were an ideal location for building hills, which ranged in size from jumps of 20 feet to 100 feet. Their location within the city made them quite accessible to young skiers, and basically what the caves were, they were not your traditional caves like you would see along Lake Superior. This was ground that had subsided as a result of the mining that had gone on for the previous 20 or 25 years, and the ground was not strong enough to support the surface weight of the ground, and so you have what they call the cave-in area would be the proper name for it, where you had lots of hills formed by the ground receding down perhaps as much as 100 feet or more. Likewise, there were many backyard or neighborhood ski jumps being built throughout the Gogebic Range on the many bluffs that dot the area. The sport of ski jumping had caught the imagination of many young sports enthusiasts, and it was the thing to do in the winter months. We're talking about 1920, and really no radio yet, no TV, nothing else to do but sports on the outside. I suppose you could stay home and play cards, but young kids, they like to do things outside. One neighborhood training hill was located in Ironwood Township, and this is what they described as The Section 12 hill, otherwise known as Dynamite, was located about a half a mile north of US 2 off Section 12 road on the bluffs to the west. And if you go today to the parking lot of Walmart off of US 2 in Ironwood and look to the north, you can see that Section 12 hill and where it was. And it's really something. So you can see why they thought it was a likely spot to have a ski jump. So what do you do in 1922 when nobody has built a big hill yet and you still want to be a ski jumper? So the Norrie Athletic Club announced that it's going to have a ski meet in early February of 1922, and that would be the first meet since 1914. A local ski tournament will be conducted at the Norrie Cave Scaffolding Monday, February 12th. The tournament will be open to any skier on the range. An entry fee of 50 cents will be charged any person over 16 years of age. Entries under 16 will be charged 25 cents. There would be 3 classes that will be run: professional, amateur, and boys. The Oliver Mining Company has given the club permission to use the caves for the tournament, and in addition has donated some lumber with which the scaffolding will be built twice as high as at present. With an increased height, ski riders should be able to jump considerably more than 100 feet, it is believed. And that's from the Globe of February 2nd, 1922. Enthusiasm for the sport was on the increase as there were 63 competitors on that February 12th meet, including 2 from Ramsey, Arvo Mackey and Oscar Nelmark. 4 Brotland brothers were entered: Walter, Arthur, William, and Philip. A 10-year-old youngster, Toivo Thompson, had made 75 feet in trial runs and was entered into the competition. The February 8th, 1922 edition of the Daily Globe said that Toivo Thompson is believed to be the most remarkable boy rider in the country. The results of the first post-World War I ski meet on the Gogebic Range at the East Norrie Slide are described. Walter Brotland copped first place among the professionals here Sunday afternoon. Leonard Anderson took first among the amateurs, and Leo Anderson copped first in the boys' class. It was a success from every standpoint. Weather conditions were almost ideal. An estimated 2,500 spurred the riders on to greater efforts, and no one was injured seriously. Brotland made the longest jump of the afternoon, 104 feet, which was 2 feet more than his nearest competitor. A second tournament was held at East Norrie Slide in the Caves 2 weeks later, February 26, 1922. This event was sponsored by the Aurora Athletic Club. Jumping a distance of 108 feet, Walter Brotland broke the record of the Norrie Cave ski slide Sunday afternoon. William Brannis won first in the amateur class, and Harvey Ross took first in the long-standing jump for amateurs. Jacob Randa scored first in the boys' class, with Wallace Jackward second and Vanner Wilson third. One of the features of the afternoon's riding was the appearance of Porky Lindberg, who was introduced as Christina Hansen, the champion rider from Norway. Porky elegantly played the part, and had he not stopped in his landing to wipe his nose in the customary man fashion after he completed the jumps, few persons would have known his identity. A man on skis doesn't often use a handkerchief, you know. So, finally, we have the announcement in May of 1922 that Curry Hill is going to be rebuilt. The headlines in the newspaper said that a ski scaffold would be erected by the Norrie Club at Curry Hill site, but made out of steel. The Norrie Athletic Club, which made a success of ski events here last winter, will build a steel scaffold at Curry Hill that will be as high as the one in Chicago, which is considered the highest in the country. Well, let's talk about the new Curry Hill. The new ski slide will be 115 feet high. A long-time lease has been obtained on Curry Hill, and erection of the slide will start early in the summer. When the slide is completed, It will give Ironwood one of the best in the country. The slide probably will be better than the majority of ski scaffold in this section of the country. Well, construction of the new Curry Hill was completed by winter of 1922-23 and was ready for the big test. Walter Brotland was asked to check out the hill and in a one-man show displayed his skills. This event was described in the Monday edition of the Ironwood Daily Globe on February 5th, 1923. The headline said, Walter Brotland braves cold and jumps 175 feet to break the local record. Comparatively easy to make distance yesterday, claims the rider. Walter Brotland, one of the best riders in this section of the country, made the Ironwood ski hill record yesterday in jumping 175 feet, standing each time. Brotland tried 4 jumps, making 183 and 185, but falling on the long ones. He was the only man on the hill yesterday who went down the slide. Despite the bad weather, Brotland said the conditions were ideal for jumping, and when he went down the slide, he felt as though he was going 200 miles an hour. According to Brotland, it was comparatively easy to negotiate the distance of 175 feet yesterday, as he made little effort to outdistance former marks that he had made. A week later, the Norrie Athletic Club sent a team of 6 jumpers to the national tournament in Minneapolis on February 10th and 11th, 1923. They had revised the class participation to classes A and B, but produced for the second time since the sport started a national champion from Ironwood. John Job was the first to win the national amateur title in 1913. The headlines ably described the championships. Werner Forsberg, star leader from the Ironwood, Michigan team, grabbed off the Class B honors. He is the new amateur champion of the United States. Imagine that. 5 of the 6 Ironwood men who competed in Minneapolis and their tournament made places. The National Ski Tournament held in Minneapolis in 1923 gives a good indication of the growth and popularity of the sport. The Ski Sport magazine of 1923-24 reported on the national event. The National Ski Tournament of 1923, with an entry list of 239 skiers from Canada and 12 states, which was 3 times as large as the national entry list. In spite of the zero weather, 16,000 people attended the national tournament. The size of the crowd at the national tournament is a reflection of the gain in popularity of ski jumping. This trend was repeating itself again at all major hills. After an 8-year hiatus from big hill ski jumping in Ironwood, the invitational event scheduled for the new Curry Hill was generating a lot of interest and enthusiasm. The success of the Ironwood team at the national tournament and the success of attracting the top skiers in the country added to the interest. So Ironwood's first big event was going to be on February 25th, 1923. The headline said, 35 entered for the big ski tournament. Special trains bring visitors to Ironwood. The Norrie Athletic Club prepares for the big event Sunday afternoon, as Henry Hall predicts a hill record will be broken. The Norrie Club was ready to stage Sunday the biggest ski tournament in the history of Ironwood on its new steel scaffold. Each rider is scheduled to go down the slide 4 times, 1 trial run, 2 regular runs, and 1 long standing jump. A special train will arrive tomorrow from Ashland to bring visitors from Ashland and vicinity, and delegations of spectators will come from Ishpeming and other cities. Rhinelander and Antigo are towns south of here that will send delegations. Henry Hall wanted to have the takeoff shortened and a few other changes made so that he would leap without fear of going to the straightaway at the bottom of the hill. Hall felt certain that he would break the official hill record of 169 feet. 19 of the 35 competitors represented Ironwood. The other 16 riders were from 8 other clubs with some of the most talented riders in the Midwest. The organizers agreed to have only 1 class. Once again, Walter Brotland captures the minds and hearts of local ski jumping fans when he earned first place in this inaugural ski event on Curry Hill while setting a world's record of 182 feet off an artificial slide. He also leaped 192 feet but fell. The best tournament he has ever seen, says the president of the Ski Riders. President Oscar Oyas of the National Ski Association declared the tournament here Sunday was the best he had ever attended and said that he would point with pride to the fact that he had attended 18 of the 19 national tournaments. He predicted that in another year or two, Ironwood riders, with all due respect to the other visitors, would rank as the best in the game. Well, that about does it for this episode of the Eagle's Nest, as the Norrie Athletic Club and the local ski jumping community brought Big Hill ski jumping back to Ironwood with a brand new Curry Hill, and once again put Ironwood on the map with national and world championships. That's really something, isn't it? Join us again next time as we continue in the roaring 20s of daredevil ski jumping in the Gogebic Range dominates Midwest skiing. And by the way, Charlie Supersinski's book, Soaring with the Eagles, the Copper Peak Story, is available at the Ironwood Depot Chamber of Commerce Office and Historical Society and at the Downtown Art Place in Ironwood. See you next time.